Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are going into our second series of the day for the C stream, of course, between Shopify Rebellion and TSM, and it is MLP Dota and John X5 joining you once again. Jonathan, welcome back. Another great series on our hands, of course, the NA series between Shopify and TSM, something we've seen 3 times throughout the year at minimum throughout the DPC. But before all that, how the hell are you feeling?
Feeling great. We had quite the ride last series for Nine Pandas. EG just smashing it out of the park. This one should be fun. You know, we've seen a little bit of TSM. We know that Whitemon, he doesn't have his noodles on hand. That could make a big difference in this matchup up against Shopify Rebellion because he's always munching. That man's munching. Maybe not in the NADPC, but when we did see them in Dream League, he was munching every time. Every match we casted of him, his camera was just, he was eating something, this guy.
How do you
Tomato
know
calls him
he
the
doesn't have his
vacuum,
noodles?
so.
How do you know he has got noodles on him?
Well, because we talked in lobby, Mike, a few days ago. If you could care to remember past more than 4 hours, Mike.
Oh. Alright.
No noodles.
I mean, it's a new day. Johnny could have gone and sourced some noodles, I reckon. Surely.
Perhaps.
I don't know how many noodle supplies there are in Riyadh, to be absolutely fair, but, you know, he may have found some. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we don't get to check the player cams here today, but you could always ask Whitemon when he does make his appearance into the lobby. Looks like we might actually have some slight delays before the series does start, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it doesn't really matter, Jonathan, because you and I have each other, and that's all that matters sometimes, is having each other, right?
Rather unfortunate, Mike. It is. Rather unfortunate. You know, it's the good old ball and chain, as they'd say, Mikey, isn't it?
Oh. Well, who's the ball and chain in this situation? You or me?
I wouldn't know. It doesn't matter. We're chained together. It doesn't count. It doesn't matter for anything
More like
at all.
handcuffs. I think
Yeah, handcuffs. There's a really great scene in a recent movie with handcuffs. That is a really fun time if you care to go to the cinema, Mike. Unfortunately, you would dub this movie as just another quote-unquote Fast and Furious-like franchise, so you wouldn't know about it. You know?
Well, I don't know. I'm curious. What is it? What is it?
Mission Impossible. It was really good. I'm telling you, it's really fun. Like, I tried watching Fast and Furious, mind you. I also did try to watch whatever the hell number we're on. I didn't watch the latest one. I tried watching it. It's like, I mean, it's fun, but it's more mind-numbing than watching a 60-year-old man do stunts. Let me tell you, watching that 60-year-old man do stunts, it's thrilling, Mike. You're just waiting for something to happen on that screen, Mike.
You mean you didn't like the scene where they jumped into a rocket ship and raced towards the moon in Fast and Furious 10?
I was so mad when I saw that, dude. I was watching that with my family. It was like,
wait,
what's going on, guys?
Are you messing with? That didn't actually happen. I haven't watched the movie. That didn't actually happen.
You haven't seen the memes? They did go to space. A spoiler alert for anyone who would want to watch it, but it's all over social media at this point. They did go to space.
They actually... Oh,
space,
no!
They did, and I don't know.
I didn't know there were memes. I literally made that crap up.
Oh, there were memes about that. Like, oh, look how far this franchise has gone from racing streetcars and looking at cool Japanese imports into space. Outstanding. You know, it's like, this is what gets me, and this is old me now coming in. This is what gets me. It's like, all people want, right? Like, with these kinds of things, with racing stuff in particular, it's just, you know that era of Need for Speed Underground 2, Most Wanted.
Yeah.
All we want is that. Just a simple game, brain off, cool cars, some cool customization, a really cheesy story, and just good racing. That's all we want. And all we want in this stream is a draft as well, Mike, which we will have shortly in a little bit, guys.
It's coming. It's coming. Well, there you go, Jonathan. Thank you for pointing out, thank you for spoiling some of the things that happen in the new Fast and Furious. I'm not going to watch it anyway, because it's complete garbage anyway, so there's that. Was garbage after Tokyo Drift, I want to say. That was about it. That was it for me.
This is a point I can agree with you. A lot of people say Tokyo Drift was bad. I was like, it wasn't bad. It was cheesy as hell. It was kind of weird having a guy that looked like he was 30 act as a high schooler, to be fair. But I did enjoy the film. I think Tokyo Drift was really darn cool. You know, it was still a racing, Mike. Not like it is now.
I can't believe they actually go to space in the new one. Oh my god.
Not anyway. Even the new one, Mike. The one before this new one, whatever number this is.
Oh, was that? Yes. Oh, I didn't watch that either.
They've gone to space. We're going to space for this draft as well, with TSM banning out the Darkseer.
Well, how does that mean we're going to space, John?
I don't know. I'm just filling here, Mike. Brood Mother's gone as well for Shopify Rebellion. What do you expect? It's space, Darkseer, vacuum, vacuum. The vacuum of space is present.
I
Remove
see.
from the game. All right, there you go. Enigma's still
you
there
really
if we need something spacey.
You really stretched for that one, Jonathan. I appreciate it.
I'm working.
Really
My 2 brain cells are going overtime here, Mike.
You really reached for the stars with that one. Ha ha ha. That was a pun, Jonathan. That was a space pun, you see?
So
Very
clever,
good.
Mike. So clever. This is why you're getting paid the big bucks, Michael Phoenix. The big bucks of
Hey.
0 right now.
Yeah. Well, there's the Primal Beast removal as well from TSM, which has been a very popular pick as of late, and Shopify Rebellion actually banned out the Drow Ranger. Just I can't say we've actually seen a Drow ban in the first phase from any series you and I have had the pleasure of casting, so that's pretty interesting. Wonder what that really means from Shopify.
Could be just opening up maybe Terrorblade for RTZ down the line. Feels like the one matchup that feels pretty good. TSM start off with a Chen. So we are seeing again the resurgence of Chen coming back in. A lot more teams picking it up. Shopify into the IO and into the Lesh. Nothing too strange
there it
here.
is.
Just having a straightforward combination to play with. TSM snipes away the Terrorblade. So you do have that comfort coming out for Tomato in this game. A lot of options in the offlane. I think it does feel like for both TSM and Shopify, Saberlight and Kasane having a good start is kind of pivotal for them to find some momentum. So you have a lot of options left. Beastmaster still in the pool for both sides. Lycan's up there. And the hero pool of Saberlight and Kasane do overlap quite a fair bit in those zoo heroes.
I always feel like you can't give NA teams IO Lesh. That's kind of my thing every time. Is like you give an NA team IO Lesh, and I realize this is an NA versus NA team, but it just never feels like a safe bet to allow that the way of Shopify Rebellion. So I just don't know how I feel about giving that away. Like, even if you do start with this first pick, Chen, you know, that everyone seems to be trying to prioritize right now. IO Lesh, man, with an NA player, you know, it's rough. It can be very, very scary.
That it can be. And you still have a lot of strong laning partners for the IO as well. And removed from the Lesh rack later on, like early on. So IO Doom is a pretty fine lane for Saberlight if he wants to play that. IO Lycan, again, all these options being left in the pool. TSM did ban out the Tide and Batrider. Batrider would have been another strong combination with the IO on the offlane, or potentially a support pick for Shopify, but IO Batrider as a support duo is also maybe a little bit too much. So I appreciate the bans coming out from TSM. Shopify taking care of that. Snapfire, which has really surged back in here in Riyadh. So many more teams prioritizing that on core and support. And you do have to appreciate that. It is one of the few universal types that didn't really get touched down as well. So its late game scaling is still intact. As there goes that Beastmaster. Will TSM take care of the Lycan for Saberlight?
They may. TSM obviously know exactly how Saberlight works. We know how great the Lycan of Saberlight is. Quite frankly, you give Saberlight any kind of micro hero and he's probably going to have a very good time for himself. You've also got the Visage, which we have been seeing pop up quite a lot, which we know Saberlight will also play. You know, you combine that with the Lesh IO, the Visage can prove to be very scary. I see TSM want to prioritize the Lycan. Do they want to prioritize the Visage ban out? Are we just going to ignore Saberlight altogether and just start banning out our TZ heroes, perhaps? But now they'll think about it. Mind you, TSM, they did go for a very early TB pick, so it seems like their focus is going to be ensuring that you do have a nice lane for Tomato with this Terrorblade Chen. I suppose just ensure that Tomato has a good time through this ban stage, but it still concerns me. Like, choosing your pos one this early on can be a little bit scary. Again, especially when you're up against the Lesh with an IO on top.
Yeah, they picked the Terrorblade into the Lesh as well, so the early magic damage should make short work of Tomato if he's not too careful. But you do have that strong lane. It's the Penitence with the Reflection. You can try to run that down. That was TSM trying it out last time as well. I think the one thing that did lack from TSM the last time we saw them ourselves, Mike, was coordination as a team, but it did come online in those decider matches, so they have that going for themselves here. With the Underlord ban as well, removing some of the global presence you can kind of form up in Shopify with the Gate and the Relocate. So you're not going to be having access to this global gank train early on for Shopify Rebellion. What will they ban out here? I mean, are you still worried about Kasane heroes? It feels like once you've taken out Brood, along with Beastmaster, you've kind of settled things. Maybe you worry about Rook 2 being gone. What else does Kasani play anyway? It feels like we've watched him so much. I guess Visage is in the pool. You're worried about that still for both sides. I love that Shopify take care of the Lion. Take care, bro.
It's done, but apparently it's been banned out now. As Legion Commander comes out for Saberlight in the offlane, I believe. So there's your offlane pickup here from Shopify Rebellion. I mean, you still have some flex potential with the LC, but I dare say just running the offlane LC probably will do it. Unless, John, unless they want to run support LC and just try to abuse press the attack with the IO, which could... I mean, I highly doubt it happens, but you never know.
There's no real reason to do it in this draft just yet. There's nothing big you really want to dispel off, so just press the attack isn't high value here at all. I think you're just looking for the IO LC lane, which is pretty strong. Overcharge would press the attack. Does feel overcharge plus overwhelming odds feels really nice. I mean, the spell amp it's marginal, but it does a lot up against a Terrorblade. More attack speed for the LC, easier chase down. You're pretty happy in that lane. For Shopify Rebellion, you've also got self-dispel down the line. Although we don't see press the attack until... Actually, we don't tend to see press the attack at all in lane, but you could get the value point here for Saberlight for sure. You are worried about that attack speed slow, so attack speed increase on the Terrorblade and slow on yourself. And so you do have some good defense coming out with the LT. Very solid lane. TSM, they've got the double picks, so it's got to be a support and probably your Kasane hero early, unless they go for the early mid or Brawl. Pick up the Rubik. So you've got the Rubik Chen, which is a lot of sustain, but did we see them run this draft before? Or am I just going a little bit haywire here? I remember a game where we saw Chen Rubik, and maybe that was Team Secret. You had the Chen Rubik, and you'd steal stuff like Song, Hand of God, and you just run. You don't want to be too defensive here for TSM, to be fair.
Yeah, that was Yamich on the Rubik, if I remember correctly. So it was Secret that were running that. But TSM, I mean, Ari is a Rubik specialist, so it tends to go back to these kind of heroes whenever he can. TSM, they'll pick up the puck for Bryle. Your mid puck coming out against the Leshrac of Arben. Shopify Rebellion. This next pick should reveal exactly what's going on with this LC.
10 seconds remaining.
I mean, you expect another support to come out from Shopify now, but you never really know.
Maybe you want some more lockdown for the puck on your support here. It's a lot of options for Crit or Fly to kind of look for themselves here, depending on how they'd want to run the IO. We have seen them flex that before, but I feel like you just keep Crit on IO with LC. Pretty happy. Now, I like the puck for TSM in that you don't really have the best hold from the side of Shopify Rebellion. Duel is probably your biggest threat, so blink timing is going to be key here for Saberlight. Get that initiation for the team. Mid lane matchup as well, where Brawl is pretty straightforward. I'd still say Leshrac has a better time. And there goes the Clinks. So it should be Fly on the IO, and you're going to be running Crit on the Clinks looking for some pickoffs. You do have some good targets to go for. Even in lane, just laning up against Chen means that every creep he picks up, you can just devour down once you level up. So you're not going to get too much value for the Chen. You're going to be able to hunt down the Terrorblade early on in the jungle. You're going to be able to pick off the puck. Once you have your Orchid up, you can hunt down the Rubik. A lot of good targets, good soft targets for the Clinks to kind of bully out here.
I see I've been called out, by the way, Jonathan. Thanks for pointing that out to me. Bellagio, too, calling me out, saying that I'm the only person that plays LC support.
In this
Fun fact,
meta,
Jonathan.
yes.
No, look, when LC support was popular in that previous meta a while ago, I hated it so much. I thought it was the most garbage thing I've ever seen. I would never play LC support, John. You know me. Never.
TSM FTX's turn to ban.
Fair enough. You did ask. You did say it could be flexed in this meta.
Listen,
We are several metas removed from the support LC, Mike.
Well, you know, when there's a billion years of reserve time being used, Jonathan, you've got to say something, don't you? It's TSM.
10 seconds
They get rid of the Nagasara. They're looking for another position 1 ban out for RTs.
5 seconds.
Something against the Terrorblade.
PL still there if you're worried about illusions. You don't have the best illusion clear in the world for TSM, and I don't see a straightforward fix for Kasane in the off lane to kind of manage that. There's still I suppose there's still the option for Morphling as well, though again, it's not like a direct solution anymore to Terrorblade, but the attack speed steal is still pretty big, pretty ags, so there's still value there. Of course, getting Metamorphosis on Morph is pretty nice as well. So you wouldn't mind something like that. A Morphling IO lane's pretty great in sustaining true. For Shopify and TSM do ban out the Bloodseeker to take off momentum instead. So Morphling definitely something viable for Shopify if they did want to go back to that route.
Shopify final ban still to come. 10 seconds reserve time. They do ban out the Lycan, not wanting to hand that over to Kasane, because Kasane is also a bit of a Lycan specialist from that offlane. So TSM. Final ban out. Kasane's here is what they require. I think maybe a little bit more active, I'd argue here. Just allow the TB all the space in the world with the rest of your 4 heroes. They're going to go down the Visage route. Why the hell not? It does eventually come out.
Yeah, it's pretty solid to play this push with a Terrorblade. Like, if Tomato gets some early timing to group up with his team, take a tier 1, go back to farm. The Visage Familiars can do a lot of work here. It's pretty hard to instantly burst down the Visage as well, and it's going to be hard to find great duels just because of the Familiar stun that can come out from the Visage. You have some good kind of break up the duels a little bit more. You've got a pretty decent lane with Rubik. Can get aggressive early on, and there goes the Faces Void instead for Shopify Rebellion. Very straightforward draft for Shopify Rebellion. It's not the flashiest, it's not too tied into tempo. You've got good timings in the mid game. Your lanes are pretty alright, although maybe arguably a little bit more passive for the Faces Void. But that just tends to be the way it goes with Faces Void lane anyway. Looking at the drafts, I would say I do enjoy Shopify Rebellion's draft a little bit more. I think TSM have to actually play a little bit more up-tempo with the Visage and Terrorblade. You do want to get off to early tier 1 takes with this kind of lineup, like say hit the Dragonlance timing and Tomato, join in for a mid-shove, go back to farming, and kind of just try to choke out this Faces Void. Because if RTZ just sits back and farms, or, you know, if RTZ even just joins in a couple of these mid-game fights and finds a couple of kills, it can go southbound very fast. Like, there's a lot of damage to throw into Chrono here. You've got Lesh with the IO, you've got a Clinks who can hit from outside. So even if you force this Void to join in early with Chrono, as long as it's up, and he manages to catch none of his teammates, then Shopify Rebellion still has a pretty good chance to win. Mind you, there is good healing here coming out from TSM, but Hand of God just, it doesn't feel enough, especially as the game scale it's on. Early on, it's going to feel great, but if it drags out, then it gets a lot tougher for TSM here.
Yeah, I mean, we know Whitemon will probably go for the mech build up as well on the Chen, I suppose, but it can take maybe a little bit of time. We'll have to see if it all pans out though. Game number 1 between Shopify and TSM now officially underway, so we can head over to that and see exactly how this game will end up between TSM and Shopify Rebellion. I hope. Game 1, there we go. Beautiful. I mean, you really might have enough sustain
camera time here.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm not like you, Jonathan, you know? I don't enjoy my face as much as you do. I don't know why you enjoy your face so much, John.
Well, I just try to stay clean, Mike, you know? I try to look the part for a $15 million tournament, Mike.
Well, what do I look like, John?
Some dude at home?
Crit. He'd love to be some dude at home right now, John. Crit's been caught out. It's on the run, but they've got so many slows available, and Tomato, of all people, is going to get first blood with the reflection. That's your perfect start for TSM.
30 seconds.
It's exactly what you want. Get yourselves that early pickup. This is one thing that TSM can do quite nicely. Like, their lanes are pretty damn strong, especially Kasane's lane if they manage to play really well with a Soul Assumption and the damage that you can pump out with your Rubik support. They can apply a lot of that early pressure there. It is going to take some time for the side of Shopify Rebellion to scale up. Especially with, say, Link support, you are waiting for at least a medallion to come out here before you're really comfy as Artur. And wants to contest, not going to be able to find it. Will be an even 2 for 2 in the bounties in the end, so not too much loss outside of that first blood.
Absolutely not. We can start with the top lane while we're here. Of course, you have Ari and Kasane going to be up against Arteezy and Fly on the IO. Not the scariest lane, I don't think, for Arteezy, because you're going to have a lot of damage flying in from Kasane and Ari, of course, but with the IO and the Time Walk, as long as they time everything perfectly, he should be just fine. It might just be one of those kind of even trading lanes between these two teams at the top lane.
If it devolves into a farm lane, you're pretty happy here in Shopify Rebellion. Like, you don't really have too much aggression that can come out until maybe something like a level 2 overcharge if you want to play with that. Try to play with the attack speed, hope for some lucky bashes on time lock, but it's not as consistent. It's key for TSM to really look for that aggression. They've done a great job of already forcing out time walk. They're just looking to shove away Artur from the initial creep waves as much as possible, get some control out, and try to burn through the resources of Fly. Mind you, Fly already has an early ring of regen and Tango, so as long as he gets to tether up over here.
Keyword is shouldn't. We'll see. Mid lane, perhaps. Oh, we're going to have a quick pause. That'll give us a chance to look through all the lanes, though. Brawl and Arbit, of course, in the mid lane. Leshrac versus the Puck matchup, but now slightly favoring Arbit. But it's still a very close affair between these two, and I imagine this could be a lane where we could see some kills fly out, assuming we see some support rotations. Arbit with a very nice pump fake on the Split Earth, forcing the phase shift early. A bit of a high-skilled kind of matchup between the Lesh and the Puck.
Certainly so.
Bottom. Whitemon was getting very, very low on the Chen. Go on, John.
Yeah, just a little bit trading down there. Whitemon has to watch himself. The mid lane, I would say, is pretty much the Lesh favorite. I mean, Puck never really gets shut down in lane, but you should expect it easier here.
That's a lot of damage. Whitemon to take the kill with the Blood Grenade tick, but nevertheless, they'll be very happy with that kill onto Saberlight. Crit, of course, in the position 4 Clinks, unable to help his top lane. Kasane now in danger. Arteezy and Fly trying to get as aggressive as humanly possible, but now Arteezy needs his own way out. He's gone a little bit too far. Ari will chase him down, but it seems like the Void should be just fine. Yeah, they're in just a passive regen coming in as Arteezy now looking to turn. I assume that Arteezy may have TP'd out towards the fountain, but it was not the case. But Arteezy does not have time lock, so can't hope for the lucky bashes to fly in. Went for the level 2 time dilation instead. And with that, you don't have quite as much kill potential, sadly.
Not quite. He is fully topped up once more. Salve out from Fly with a tether. You're going to be able to sustain right through the lane, and you're out of mana now in Kasane. You can't really look for another play in here. No sort of regen on hand for Kasane coming in as well. You should be set for a pretty stable lane. An important kill to dodge out on for Shopify Rebellion, considering the resources expended by TSM. Like, Visage with no mana is basically just a glorified range creep in this lane.
Annihilation again onto Ari. As soon as he uses the Fate Bolt, or rather the Fade Bolt is what I was meant to say, as Ari does manage to get out. And no time lock means no lockdown. Time dilation's obviously a very nice slow, but wasn't quite enough that time around. Lane Tomato taking a fair bit of damage on the Terror Blade now, but it is at stage, like, Crit's level 3, so he's got the level 2 Tar Bomb. This is when the damage can start to feel quite obnoxious from Crit. Even Tomato just being forced to salve up now on the Terror Blade, but does have to worry about the Clink's damage, because it can amp up quite quickly.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Oh?
He's okay. Crit TP's out. He's going to have to make the walk of shame back down to the bottom lane, but does manage to survive.
It's not the best of times, though. At the very least, Saberlight will get some solo XP, but the kill threat is always there on the side of TSM. Metamorphosis not too far off either. They can look to line up, and Saberlight's dropping fairly low. Has 9 charges on the stick at the very least. There's some regen to play with. Overall, lane's all looking pretty damn sharp for TSM outside of maybe mid, where you're getting a little bit more out from Abed, but you're not that far behind in Brawl. Again, managing that lane quite nicely, lagging behind in EXP just a bit.
A lot of damage on Saberlight. Oh, it's not enough. Oh, it is! Whitemon! The Kobold! It got him! The Foreman does it again!
Yeah. What can you do? You know, Whitemon just runs up against Saberlight, left alone for such a long time with a walk back for crit. With how low the cooldown was left on Metamorphosis, just a big opportunity, although Tomato is forcing it out quite hard here.
He is. Maybe this time he gets punished. Crit. To slow the Tar Bomb, trying to chase him down a little bit longer, but doesn't bother throwing out the Blood Grenade this time onto the TB. To be fair, Tomato did have plenty of wand charges, so probably would have survived anyway. So not too big of a deal here for the Terror Blade. Top lane's turning into a bit of a wash, I've got to say, for TSM here, John. Arteezy's stuck on about 16 CS on the Void. Certainly not having the freest lane of his life as he would love to. And as time goes on, it's only getting worse because Kasane and Ari, they're just getting even more damage that they can pump out. Fly having to heal up overtime, but in Arteezy just having to play very far back.
Yeah, but that's to be expected in that lane. The fact that they're not dying is probably more than enough for the side of Shopify Rebellion, as this lane is just really passive. It just faces Void Ire, your plan can just stay alive, try to find what form you can, transition to the jungle, maybe try to get a kill threat by the time you hit 6 with an early chrono, but not necessary. Kasane's damage is starting to skyrocket though.
Well, they're going to try and jump in now. Kasane, he's still a tanky boy with the double bracer up, trying to outrun them. The tar bomb, it's going to be enough. Great rotation from Crit, allowing the kill to go the way of Arteezy, who desperately needed the gold. Well, he's dealing with that pesky Visage, even mid lane. Arbit, he's a much bigger target. He'll try to go for the run. Brawl's on the chase with the orb. Arbit's trying to heal up with a bottle, but how far can he really go? Arbit is going to try and pull off some magic with the TP play out, but Ari's there with the telekinesis. That'll mean Arbit, no chance of survival. Great pickup for TSM.
Really nice pickup for them. Good pressure onto the mid. Great movement out from Whitemon to kind of deny off any sort of refill. And the bottle does still get topped up. They snag away the bounty rune, but not enough to really compensate. They're at the point where Tomato can just solo the spot lane, and Saberlight has to be a bit cautious.
Ari. Yeah, Ari's in big trouble. He's down. The bash is there. Arteezy, he'll get the job done. Shopify even looking for a little bit more into Kasane, but it's only Crit moving in. Looks like he wants a 7-minute Wisdom Rune anyway. Nice slow up. The extra movement speed from Fly. It's a bit of a race, and Crit looks like he's got it. Double Wisdom Rune pickup. Very nice play from Shopify Rebellion, and TSM sadly missing out on that 7-minute Wisdom Rune timing, which is pretty huge. That bonus XP, it does hurt if you don't get some on your side.
And at the very least, it's the initial rune, so it's not the biggest loss in the world. It's still a good boon here for Fly and Crit, having some earlier scaling into their level 6 marks and cutting off TSM from finding too much. And TSM finding some of the earlier trades, but Shopify Rebellion holding steady in their lanes, trying to get that farm ramping up quite nicely here on Abed and on Arteezy. I mean, that is a cause of concern. Like, Arteezy's going for the Mask of Madness. He can certainly apply some pressure with the early Chronospheres with that up and running. And also start farming up a Storm once that is fully done. Tomato's been giving all the space in the world he wants, though. And Saberlight not getting prioritized too hard, but they're clumping around mid lane.
Abed, gonna be okay. Power Rune is actually bottom lane. Whitemon's gonna stand by the Arcane Rune and make sure it does remain protected. Looks like Brawl will be able to reach anyway, but not before a quick pause out. 500 ping is the call, which is not a very good amount of ping to play on, I've got to say. Unlucky, unpause the game, Crit. You'll be right. These players, Jonathan, they just 500 ping is, I guess, acceptable. I always get a little bit funny when they start complaining about like 50 ping. You know, 50 ping's playable. Just play it. Just unpause the game.
I suppose. I feel like your complaints are more on like 100 ping. I don't think we've gotten 50 ping complaints, but certainly 100. And that's where you're like, oh, you know, Australians can play in that ping. Yeah, well, where are the Australian pros, Mike?
Oh, shut up. Right? So you want to hear about Australian pros?
No.
We did play on 200 plus
we don't
ping
want to hear
back
this
in my
again.
day.
No, we really
Yeah,
don't
I
want to
too,
hear it.
Jonathan. We did though.
No
This
one in
is
chat
the
wants to hear
truth.
it. Yes, we've heard a story yesterday or 2 days ago, Mike. It's all fine. You might not remember telling the story, but we remember.
Arteezy said you might be on the USD server. What? Wait, it is? How's that happening?
I'm pretty
How
sure
could Brawl
it's...
possibly be playing US East right now?
Oh, no, definitely not. No, definitely not.
It's a joke.
His ping is 500, though. I can see it in the console. So something is up, just for Brawl.
What's console command?
Service to imbalance. All in service to imbalance.
Look at this, John X5 jumping in, just taking the admin's job. Crit is telling you that's not it.
And that's the command to check ping, release.
You want to argue with Crit, Jonathan?
No.
I dare you.
Are they looking for
Argue with him,
the
John.
force route? I suppose it's a force route. Forgot to do that. A good old console command to get into the lobby.
Yes,
Oh,
unlucky.
Brawl. Tisk.
You can, lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, John. The old saying.
So funny to see us being at 500. 0, 15, 16, 16, 17, 16, 17, 477, 16, 15, 17. It's like, yeah. Tell me again how Estrella plays at 200 ping way. Regale me with these legendary tales.
Yeah, but Brawl isn't playing, John. He's paused the game. See, the Aussies did play with 200 plus ping. Back in the day. Nobody believes me anyway, because it was so long ago. Brawl saying go. Looks like it's resolved. Who the hell cares? I hate you, John.
It's mutual, Mike. It's mutual.
Crit?
I hate myself as well.
Crit. Slow it up. He's going to be alright. Clear out some creeps while he's at it. But Wymon's looking to set up here with his team onto the mid-tier 1 tower. No siege creep available, though, to be fair, so it's not going to be the easiest process in the world for TSM. Crit's going to stick around and ensure all the units of Whitemon are taken out. TSM, they'll go for a 2-man smoke. Ari and Brawl heading towards the north. Up towards the top lane they go. Arteezy is hanging around on the Void, and they do get scanned anyway. Unfortunate for TSM.
Right on. Knew something was up once they disappeared from that mid-push. And now Shopify Rebellion's going for their own smoke play here.
They've got Chrono, by the way, John, so you do have that to set up from Arteezy. Abed, Fly going to run into Ari, though Ari is out of range for now. Abed still trying to chase him down, but instead will go for the much bigger target in Kasane. The Visage just immediately caught out. He was trying to find an angle to get within some fog. Meanwhile, those Saberlight going down to the bottom lane. It's a pretty even trade across the map.
Lots of back and forth. Both of the offlanes not having the best of time here for TSM and Shopify. Would have to say the kills onto Kasane feel a lot more impactful. The early timing of Visage does feel more pertinent here with the tempo that TSM wants to find. You're not getting any of those early items up for Kasane at all. Bottom netward core right now as well. Saberlight
is still up. They're trying to fight Ari. I mean, he showed himself a little bit too early that time around, but Arteezy's lost him. They lost the vision. Ari somehow walks out of it. And to be fair, I did not see any stunts to come out from the Void. So a bit of bad luck for Arteezy, but nevertheless, Ari, props to him.
Yeah, dances around. And maybe not the best kill to really gun for the Chrono, considering that you have 3 heroes you kind of want to play with your Leshrac outside Chrono, so you can gun for something bigger. But it's a little bit of time wasted out from TSM. A little bit more space coming through, for sure. That's time where Tomato's just free farming with his Midas on that terribly down bot, uncontested. Number 1 in that word. Looks to be rushing into a Scotty, into the Manta. Or maybe just going for the Manta first, or Sanjin Yasha, would look like here. And all things considered, even with a slower start for Kasane, he is making room for the bigger target in the Terrorblade, and he is forcing Arteezy to kind of take part in these plays up top more than he'd probably want to, in comparison to just sitting back and farming.
The 3 so far. Very, very slight net worth lead TSM. It's still such an even game. Fight. Top lane, they are still looking at Arteezy on the Void, but he's just hanging around knowing Abed and Fly could come in whenever with the relocator. He's not really afraid of being jumped on the Void whatsoever. Now has the Mask of Madness up, so he could try for solo pickoffs now with the Chrono.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And Tomato's having an extremely good time on the Terrorblade to boot, as here comes Shopify. Abed trying to cut off Kasane, but aren't quite getting range for the Lightning Storm. Bother with it. So you're in a game where both position 1s are having a very free time thus far, John, which is... Hold on a minute, mid lane. Rotations incoming. Abed trying to protect the mid-tier 1 tower. They are still going to try and go for this as Brawl did commit the Dream Coil, taking down Fly and maybe now even Abed, but Abed, he will just turn around and continue. Dealing with these creeps that are coming in from Whitemon. Onto Brawl he goes, but Brawl can always just orb away, hoping for the rune, and he's going to get it to boot.
That should help.
Unlucky for Abed. Kasane goes down top lane now. Crit and Arteezy able to get that done with the Chrono.
And you have to respect the output in the early Chronos here. Lots of damage that can fly into that control.
Saberlight. With Saberlight, he's sneaking in from the backside. Whitemon gonna find out the hard way. They do start up with a Familiar. It is not going to be enough. The duel is won. At least you get crit as a trade. The Brawl does get some kind of gift for this, I suppose, but I think the dual damage for SR is what they really wanted. They'll be very happy with that.
Just start adding up the numbers here. For Saberlight, pretty important for him to be around for that kill as well. Does have the blade mail flying through into the blink. So the LC is certainly starting to kick into pace in comparison to Kasane, who again hasn't had too much to play with. Has the medallion working into that solar crest. Will start to be able to soften up targets at that point, but it certainly doesn't feel as pressuring as an LC who will eventually get the blink. I think all this space for TSM is coming at a pretty hard cost of this Visage timing, and that can throw you off, right? You're trying to get online with Visage Chen really early to get these pushes out. They haven't been able to clear out mid. They're starting to line up for top at the very least. See if it pans out. Whitemon just busy sitting in his own jungle. Has his own full solar crest up at the least, but no Hand of God to save. Smoke out here from Shopify.
Trying to get another duel victory for Saberlight by the looks of it.
Tower is under attack.
Sadly, only one illusion down at the bottom lane, and that's from Tomato, but it is indeed an illusion. Absolutely no point in trying to go for that. Yes, I'm doing a very good job of evading the smoke here. They do go for their own smoke now as 3. Ari, Whitemon, and Brawl all going to move up from the top lane into the mid lane, looking maybe towards that tier 1 mid tower again. Shopify not exactly in a position to defend this. I'm on. He's got the Skelly Boys up as well. A Dark Troll Summon are going to make life very easy for them in terms of taking down this tier 1. And it's basically gone. There goes your tier 1 mid. Ari is going to be down at the bottom lane to try and defend this, but there is still Shopify Rebellion heroes around. Ari, just be a bit of free dual damage here for Saberlight, but no, they don't actually make the jump in. Raul's actually going to find Arbet and fly instead. And they both just retreat.
Managed to pick anyone off. Do really want to start to flex this Bloodstone on Abed. Want to start taking some of these engagements. Buy some more space out for Artur and start to pressure Tomato. The fact that this Terrorblade's been able to dodge out all these ganks is pretty massive for TSM.
Sane. Annihilation is there. Saberlight's still trying to chase. They'll even bring the relocating into the Visage. So everybody coming in. Grouping up on Pearl Kasane. Even the damn neutrals were trying to help out. What happened to a good old-fashioned 1v1?
Well, that wasn't exactly 1v1 anyway.
I suppose so. Arteezy. Oh, no. Oh, they've caught the Void. They've caught Crit to boot. Unfortunate.
Yeah. Dream Coil out in the silence. No counterplay coming out for Artur. Farming pretty damn far forward. After that win up top, maybe feeling like the top jungle would have been clear. Or the triangle would have been clear because no one came to back Kasane, but TSM were just using Kasane as a sacrifice. Just putting him forward, buying space for Tomato, massive kill for TSM to find, and Shopify Rebellion. And they've been getting active. They've been going around with relocates and duels, but these are not the targets they necessarily want to jump.
Well, Whitemon couldn't surely, he couldn't do this by himself. Whitemon was trying to kill off Saberlight on his own. Crit's gonna move in now, and that should be a nice duel, surely? No, they don't win the duel. Unlucky. Saberlight, now on the run, Brawl around with the double damage, but doesn't have the Dream Coil, so can't really commit for that. Didn't have much mana anyway. Whitemon a little bit overly confident trying to go for that solo pickoff. I appreciate it though.
I like it. It's a very Whitemon play. This is what you'd expect from T1 Whitemon, so nice to see him still live up to whatever the heck he loves to do. They are eyeing Abed and Fly down here.
Yeah, bro, he's got the coil up now. Has the blink up as well, but doesn't have the vision. Fine Abed now looking to set up instead onto Brile. Ari would be the much easier target, but a coil is going to be there. Onto Crit. Crit just going to run thanks to Fly. In the meantime, Saberlight did take the time to get the blink up now, so that's on the courier. So now you've got to be worried about this blink jewel. They can come in at any moment from Saberlight. And it's on the courier at the moment, just being delivered. But with an IO Lesh and a blink LC, this is where you can just guarantee somebody just dies on the map. If they're alone and you catch them, it's a guaranteed kill every time.
Should start ramping up now for Saberlight in terms of that damage. And we'll instantly go for a smoke play out. See where that leads to. TP for Fly up top. Trying to connect with Abed with a relocate. Just need one target for Saberlight. and bring the army in. Not too hard to find those wins now. TSM, though, are starting to clump up pretty hard. Outside of Tomato, who has been staying outside of vision and off the map, is not giving any information off, and TSM will go for their own smoke now.
He will, bro. Heading into the mid lane, see if he can find himself a target. Playing off the back of Whitemon's mech as well, keep in mind. Just picked it up now. All of Shopify's heroes are at the top western side of the map. Instead, though, they're gonna find Arteezy! Oh, they've got the Void again! It was the ward placed by Whitemon earlier!
Yep. Been doing a lot of work. Just spotting out that farming pattern. Finding a kill. No relocate come in fast enough, and... TSM, again, they've managed to trade with their courts really well. They've been sacrificing Kasane, but the space out for Tomato, it's paying off. Pulled Scotty up. Satanic next. Lining up for the Roche.
It's the 5-head play from Whitemon. Sacrifice your life towards Saberlight. Don't give him a jewel anyway, and place a ward in the meantime where he won't even realize I've placed it. Genius play from Whitemon as usual. I might be giving him a little bit too much credit here, John. I'm not sure. Sane, the rest of TSM, still hanging around the top lane. Might be thinking about forcing Roshan. You are still playing against Chrono, to be absolutely fair, though. So, maybe not the most advised, but the thing is, Arteezy doesn't even want to fight right now. Roshan has begun. You could force the Void into a fight he doesn't want to be a part of. That is if the side of Shopify are even aware Roshan's happening. Which it does seem like they are, considering there is vision there. But they don't want to fight this. So Roshan goes the way of TSM for free.
Big take for them to find. Brawl with the 2 lives can start to do a lot more in the front lines here. And you're still ramping up in Tomato. Yasha up, Sanj not too far afterwards. Lots of stat resist and HP to play with here. We're not seeing the burst plays come out. Like, Crit's not able to really hunt down some softer targets just yet. With the Solar Crest up, probably starting to feel like he needs the Orchid first. The relocate plays were pretty nice early on from Abed and Fly, but we haven't really felt the impact of Abed with the full Bloodstone up. TSM just been running away from these engagements quite nicely. And the information, again, on point. Like, they spot Arteezy with another ward here.
They do. Ari is around there with Brawl if they wanted to try, but I'll let that one go. The thing is, Tomato's getting massive on this Terror play. Like, he's absolutely huge. 30 gold away from the full SNY now to boot. This TB is not going to be very easy to deal with in these engagements, that's for sure. He's going straight into the Satanic next, which is pretty standard. Fine, they'll buy their time as well. They'll buy more time for the Faceless Void. Arteezy working towards a BKB now. TSM might try to force a fight by using Brawl as bait down to this bottom lane. Hoping Saberlight will jump in for a duel attempt, but he's not around the area. In fact, instead, Brit has been caught out topside. Ari and Tomato are there. Brit, he's going to try and take Ari with him, and he feeds a kill to Tomato, but at least he takes the Rubik before he does go.
Find something. You need to start ramping up on that Plinks as well. Wants that Orchid for additional control. Wants to be able to pin someone down. And the hunt here for the Clinks hasn't been really online. You need something to come out, even if it's trade. Again, the side of TSM. Playing it safe, not going too far forward, not going too crazy. The Shopify Rebellion are enjoying the time and space though. As long as Artur is not dying, then you're pretty happy trying to play the catch-up game. BKB being farmed up now by the Faceless Void. We've got the Hex being worked on by Abed. And he is fairly close to just having all of the gold for the buyout on that Hex. The relocate play is going to get even more threatening here from Shopify Rebellion as time goes on. Almost feels like TSM maybe resting a little bit too easy with his build-up on Kasane. On Tomato, as outside of Tomato, Brawl has some decent farm, but Kasane's still lagging far behind. Even below Crit's farm. Like, your scaling is still under question for sure.
Top lane. What have they got? Arteezy, he's trying to fight this one out. Brawl committing the Dream Call into the snap of the telekinesis. Brawl and Ari, they've been very, very good at picking off Arteezy by himself every time. Shopify, they just never seem to be around to respond to this. Like, they've got the IO Lesh, but they aren't finding these relocates in time.
Yeah, it's...
Saberlight, at least gonna find the Chen. Whitemon, though, proving to be a lot tankier than you'd expect. But eventually, off the back of Arbed and Fly joining in, they do get it done. Ari, Time Walk, lift up. Crit is gonna die in the meantime to Brile. Relocate is out. The TSM, they can just focus on the top tier 2 tower once again. And they'll get away with no problem.
I'm a little bit surprised with how Shopify are playing. And yes, you do want farm in your Void. You've got some good scaling across the board, but ever since Saberlight got the Blink, it just felt like they haven't been able to hunt as much as they'd want to. You know, you're looking for these Blink dual placements to relocate. They make it happen on the tier 2 defense. It's not anywhere across the map. They're not able to hunt. Crit on the Blinks is just trading at best. Not really finding some clean solo pickups that you'd want on the Blinks. With a tier 2 down, TSM in a strong position now. 13-9, 5k lead up for TSM. That's Satanic for Tomato, not too far off. Has the Reaver up, and that alone boosts his HP, his EHP by such a huge amount. Like it's so hard to deal with his Terrorblade. You really need to focus in with the magic damage. If Abed can get on top of Tomato, it does still feel like a manageable target, but we just haven't seen that yet from Shopify.
No, you certainly haven't. 3.1k HP pool now on Tomato. Like, yeah, he's manageable for now, but it's getting close to the point where he may not be very soon. Lincoln Sphere available on the park. So Brawl just became a lot more challenging to deal with. At least you do have the BKB on the Void coming out. So Arteezy does have that magic immunity available. Grouping up is Shopify. I think they want to try and go for a big fight. It's a smoke to be used. Fly will hold one. There's your smoke out. TSM, though, they are grouping up by their Tormentor. Not exactly the greatest position to try and force the fight for Shopify. TSM will go ahead and take that. That'll be the shard for Ari now, so you have the save with the telekinesis. Shopify is still trying to move through the Radiant Triangle, and they will get there. Whitemon, nice vision. No, he doesn't get an obstacle down, so they don't see them yet. Arteezy, he's finally going to move in, but the Hurricane down to the low ground is going to make sure Whitemon does remain alive as Brawl jumps right in, looking for a coil. He's going to get 3 targets with that. They've still got the Void fight. Arbed, he's going to survive, and now by Chrono, it comes out onto Brawl, but the Hand of God is keeping him alive, and Arteezy's gone. Arteezy is just gone. Saberlight to drop right after. The heals from Whitemon just making it too hard to burst down the target.
He's got the full Holy Locket, so the burst healing's just amplified by so much.
Oh.
Again, the Chrono not ideal. That fight just doesn't break out the way Shopify wants it to. They take their time angling in. They don't find the initial target they'd want to. If they found Tomato first, if they moved through that jungle faster, jumped the Terrorblade, got the commitment, might have ended up better. And just focusing in even one target from Chrono. With your team outside, you get a lot of damage. They're just not finding the opportunity. TSM at the right spot at the right time, and now with a high ground open, it's not going to take too long. Even without that metamorphosis, you've got an insane army coming out here from Whitemon.
It's very hard to defend against the Skellies. There it goes. Midrax is gone. Do they go for more? The answer is yes. Pings are out towards the top lane. They want that tier 3 tower to boot. Shopify, they do have all 5 heroes up, but they are lacking that Chrono now. They'll jump in. Saberlight, he's out with the duel to Kasane, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough. They will still try. Tomato being targeted, but taking 0 damages now. Arbed just can't get away. He'll pop his BKB with the Bloodstone, trying to... Oh no, the relocate. That's his BKB and Bloodstone usage. And if you were going to take a fight, that would be the only one worth it, I think. At least they've still got a tier 2 tower down at the bottom lane. But TSM, they're going straight for the jugular. They know. No Chrono, no BKB, no Bloodstone. How do you defend? Tier 4 towers. There's one gone. Onto the second TSM. Looking to put a finish to this game 1. They'll get the secondary tier 4 tower, and GG's call. They've had enough. Unfortunate. The draft just never took off, and you know, we were kind of talking about how strong this IO Lesh is, especially from these NA teams. Like, they do tend to love this combination quite a bit, but I do agree with the points you were making, John. It just never really felt like we saw any big relocate kills coming out. The tempo was never set. I'm not sure what happened to Shopify that game, but props to TSM, John. They played a very clean game.
Yeah, it's like you said, right? Like they're looking for revenge from DPC Tour 3. Managed to find it here. And they show it in strong fashion. Shopify Rebellion. This draft needed more activity. You had relocate. You had this blink up on Saberlight after a little bit of a rougher start in his bot lane, but got that timing with blink blade mail, and all they'd ever do is play defensively. They'd respond to the pushes out from TSM, but they'd never find success in their hunts. And that cost them. You needed to be able to play with just this threat of blinking forward, getting the instant relocate on top, getting the kill, resetting. You wanted to be a little bit more of an assassin with crit, never came out as well. The draft just fell flat. You had Arturo go for the early Mask of Madness to try to play more of a fighting Faceless Void, coming in with Chronos. Even that didn't really come online. We saw like this one good Chrono coming out from him, which still didn't work out in his favor with a BKB. Like, it felt like Shopify are just banking too much and playing it slow and expecting TSM to make mistakes that never came out this game. They were very disciplined. They had good map control. They had really good vision to play around with. And they just dodged every single opening Shopify was trying to find. Every smoke Shopify had felt like a bust.
It certainly did. I mean, game one, just definitely not even a game here for Shopify. TSM again just playing very, very cleanly here for the first game at least. But this is a best of two series, so we do have an opportunity for Shopify to try and prove that they can tie out this series. But TSM, if they just play like that for game two, it might just be another dominant victory for their end of things.
Yeah, they have to clean it up in Shopify. Like, you get something like the IO Lush, you really want to play tempo. You really want to play with relocates and duels. I would have to say, though, again, TSM, their vision game was pretty on point. They were able to dodge out really nicely. They were creating a lot of space for Tomato. Like, they knew what they had to do to hit these timings, considering a slightly slower start for the Visage. They maximize it coming out for Tomato. He has this great understanding on his item build, just going for stats first with a Skadi and Sanch and Yashin, knowing that he's got enough heals to back him up if he does get jumped anyway. So, props to TSM. Massive improvement here in their matchup up against Shopify Rebellion. It looks like they really did their homework for this one, Mike. And, I'm pretty sure Moon Meander is pretty happy this time. Unlike last time, when we casted him yesterday, it felt like he was probably slamming his desk a bit. This time he's probably cheering the boys up.
Yeah, it certainly is. With that, though, we are going to head off to a break, John. Of course, right after that break, we'll have Game 2 between Shopify Rebellion and TSM right underway. We'll see you all again very soon.
مستمتع وتلاقي الوجبة جاية على الأصول يجيك العيش هش طالع من الأوفن والدجاج يقرمش just the way I love it وتسوي كده وتسوي كده وتسوي كده مع الحشمة وإن تبغى راب خفيف أجيب تويستر أنا أجيب لي وجبة الزنجر بس كله يجيب إكسترا تشيز على الكرانشي تشيكن في السنتر حطلب باكت حطلب زنجر حطلب مايتي حطلب تويستر جيب له باكت جيب له زنجر جيب له الأصلي جيب له تويستر delicious yeah
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are going into our second game of this best of two between TSM and Shopify Rebellion to see who can pull off either a 2-0 victory or a tie between these two. It is MLP Dota and Jonix Fight. Jonathan, TSM, I would say convincingly taking game number 1 here against Shopify Rebellion. What do you want to see changed up from Shopify's end to try and tie out the series 1-1?
I'd like to see them play around their power spikes a little bit better. I think they've got to be ready for some of these really good wards coming out from the supports of TSM. They had really good forward vision to constantly spot out Arteezy when he was farming up. They managed to break off those smokes really nicely. And it just felt like Shopify had really, really big power spikes with the early Bloodstone coming out, with the Blade Mail Blink out from Saberlight as well. They just never managed to capitalize on it. So that's the one thing I'd like to see for Shopify Rebellion. I don't think the draft was all that bad. I think it had potential to scale or even take some of these early fights with the good damage he had for the Chrono, but none of those early ganks ever came out. It was Artur getting jumped most of the time there as well while he was farming up, and that kind of cost them. Like, they would find a few of those dual relocate kills, but it would be on the defense when top tier 2 was being sieged. So it's all about initiative for Shopify Rebellion. It certainly felt like they weren't quite getting what they'd want when they would take initiative there.
Right. Well, on the brighter side, we do have a new draft on hand, so we'll see if they do change anything up. Of course, last draft around Shopify, they did end up prioritizing the IO Lesh opening, I believe it was. See if they do want to prioritize that again, whether TSM perhaps ban out the IO or the Lesh. They actually get rid of the Chen themselves this time, so not wanting to hand that over to Shopify Rebellion. I must admit, the Chen did prove to be quite impactful from Whitemon. Quite a few fights where just the sustain was too much from that position 5 Chen. And it really does go back to the fact that the farming speed of the Chen now is just extremely quick. When you consider the creeps plus the penitents, like he clears them out too fast. And just the amount of farm you can get at a position 5 Chen can be pretty damn insane.
And it was. I was expecting maybe a little bit more play there from Crit, opting to follow around Whitemon, taking a creep away, being obnoxious in the jungle, but he was busy trying to help his team set up elsewhere. There was a ton of space for Whitemon when he had a room to just AFK farm into that full solar crest with a mech, with a holy locket, and they weren't able to jump the backline too well as well from Shopify last time around. So, we'll see. Again, new draft on hand. Certainly not the same coming out from TSM with that Chen ban. Lots of support bans being prioritized. There's a Drow being banned by TSM again. Not willing to give that to Artur. Shopify taking the IO once more,
Okay.
so they'll run it back, I suppose. Just back to IO Lesh or perhaps an IO Storm could be a possibility as well for Shopify Rebellion here. TSM, they made it work one time, Mike, up against that opener. Pretty sure they can manage it again.
They could. I mean, they could even just take the Lesh for themselves. But you did mention, I mean, the Storm is also available if they wanted to go back for that for Arbed. We know Shopify Rebellion and Storm kind of go hand in hand. Instead, Kasane is going to get his Brood Mother, which I think is much scarier than any of that. The Brood does come out, was not banned out in the first phase, and Kasane immediately would have snapped, pick it up. No hesitation.
It's just a stable pick. Kasane performs quite well on that offlane Brood. He can always go for the aura build. He can always go for damage as well, depending on what the team needs. Lane is usually very stable for the Brood Mother anyway. They will opt to pick up the Rubik now as well, so just back into that for Ari. Pretty stable lane for Brood Rubik. Shopify, when you see the Brood Mother, you might think to yourself that you'd want the Lesh, right? Like, you'd want the clear for the Spiderlings. Wouldn't fault them for going back to it, and there it is. No surprises.
Okay. I just don't know how I feel about it. I mean, like, last game around, we just saw no impact from this duo. I still think IO Lesh is extremely potent in the current meta, but it's just... When you saw what happened in the first game, it does make it so you kind of lack confidence.
Yeah.
Perhaps Shopify just change up a few things with their draft to make it a little bit better, because to be fair, like, their Void never took off, their LC never took off. Perhaps they felt as though they just had nothing to play around with this duo, but... I want to see some changes here for this draft to really see this pop off.
For sure. It can still work. This is still just naturally a very strong combination. We'll also end up with a pretty good IO lane coming out, although I will say perhaps... I really don't fault RTZ for his lane either. Like, IO plus Faces Void, it's just really passive. I don't know if you really want to be active for Artur in a safe lane either, so... Wouldn't mind if Shopify just decided to run it back with another sort of passive safe lane for RTZ. Just try to farm up. Shopify, they do ban the Tomato Terrorblade, which Tomato does love to play. Had a spectacular performance in the last game. And be forced to play something else. Tide being banned once more by TSM. And just removing any sort of big teamfight combinations that can come out there from Saberlight. Dusa being banned out is maybe a little bit more surprising for TSM, but they still show respect for that hero. It can still be a nuisance, even though its laning phase is really dead. That hero got nerfed very hard in the lane.
It did. Thankfully. TSM.
It was much.
Tide being removed, looking like they're focusing on the Saberlight heroes again, which we saw last game around quite a bit in this the second ban phase. Really important for Saberlight to have a good laning stage, right? Because you do kind of rely on this guy to play around the rest of the other three heroes while Arteezy gets his free farm. Again, we did not see much of that on the LC last game around. You still, I believe, want a bit more of an active off lane from Saberlight to play off. Of course, he could just go back to his micro heroes as well. Like, for now, you've got the Beastmaster, you've got the Lycan, you've still got the Visage. All those heroes you can play around as well. I'm sure TSM looking to ban some of those out, though, for now.
Yeah. Taking your time and considering what to prioritize here. I'd say the Beastmaster's always safe. They take care of the Pudge instead. Not wanting to give a rundown lane with IO Pudge, I suppose, on safe lane. Or just... We have seen Crit play that as well. So, wouldn't have been the safest game to play, Pudge. It does feel like could have had issues with trying to line up hooks with spiderlings running all over the place. And Shopify banned out the Husker from TSM. I'm trying to recall, have we seen TSM play Husker recently? Maybe in Tour 1?
It's been a while. It's just making sure that Arbit doesn't have a bad lane, I think. Yeah, you could always give that over to Brawl and he could just kind of pop off.
5 seconds remaining.
TSM, one final ban before we get to see some more draft picks from these two teams. And I imagine Saberlight Hero to be banned out here. They have left the Beast like and Visage, so all the micro heroes are still available here for Saberlight if he wants to go back for it. They'll get rid of the Mars, in fact. So just all the Brood counters being removed. And they go right into a Bloodseeker pickup.
That I like for TSM. It works pretty nicely to try to chase down the Eye of Lesh. You've got the Blood Right to kind of silence up as well in the middle of these fights. And you can get active pretty damn early on. Like, this Brood Emitter can force a lot of the heroes low up top, so down bot, so your Bloodseeker up top can have a great lane, just being thirsted up, having a little bit more of that move speed to manage the lane. And feel pretty good in this game for Tomato to have that. And you can always go Blade Mail as well if you're worried about Leshrac damage. Early Blade Mail, Bloodseeker, maybe Maelstrom Blade Mail isn't actually that bad for this hero still. It is pretty viable. You want to punish Abed with his output here.
We shall see. Shopify Rebellion thinking a bit heavily about this third pick now. And Bloodseeker putting a bit of a spanner in the works against the Io Lesh. Obviously, a lot of thinking to be done between these two teams because they know each other like the back of their hands. I mean, how many times they have to play against each other throughout the year. I imagine both sides look at this kind of matchup and think to themselves, this should be a free win. But it always is a bit of a mixed bag between these two.
Yep. To be fair, TSM were winning, in the first two tours.
They were.
In Tour 3 they got first, but it happens.
Oh,
they're
okay.
running back.
I wasn't expecting this, but against the Broodmother, I mean, it's a pretty nice pick as they do go for the Skywrath Mage now for crit. So you've got the Skywrath Legion Commander duo in the offlane coming out. So even more play for Saberlight. The back of the Mystic Flare, you don't have to rely on the Iolesh relocate this time. But it certainly did not look very good in Game 1.
No. I do feel like this lane does end up being a little bit better. Sky can just stand further back. Your LC matchup into Bloodseeker feels pretty stable. We've seen Legion Commander win that lane matchup quite a fair bit, just with pressure from overwhelming odds. So Saberlight should have a stronger start here. We should expect more impact from crits as well, joining in these ganks. With the Io and Lesh, TSM with the Shadow Demon counter though. So it's not going to be too straightforward for you to look for the duel. Granted, we've seen the Shadow Demon quote-unquote counter before in our last series. It didn't quite pan out, but theoretically you should still be able to find yourself a good position and just get a save going from that Mystic Flare duel combination here.
More bans to come. The final bans here between these two teams. Shopify Rebellion still looking to ban out something in the mid lane for Brawl. Of course, we saw the Puck of Brawl last game around looking fantastic. It's going to be against the Lesh again, arguably, or more than likely, rather, so they'll get rid of the Snapfire for now. You might want to just pay respects to the Brawl Puck this time and just remove it. It does feel like another game where the Puck could pop off. Mind you, you are playing against the Skywrath Mage to be absolutely fair, so it might not feel the safest with that Ancient Seal being available, but most mid laners do not like being silenced very much, so it doesn't really change too much.
Definitely not. Should still be rough whenever Crit does walk up there for an early rotation. And with the Sky, I would like to see that playstyle emphasized in Shopify, because they did hit their timings. It's not like last game they got completely shut down. You did hit your Bloodstone timing quite fast on your Lesh. You did manage to hit Blade Mail Blink on Saberlight, but somehow they just never found the opening, so I would like to see Shopify just kick it up a pace, because the farmer's fine. I think they can find these openings with this kind of lineup. There goes that Puck ban for for Shopify Rebellion, showing some respect for what Brawl did do. And Morphling ban from TSM just to ensure no shenanigans come out with scaling here for our tour.
Here comes the final pickup. What's our TZ one?
10 seconds.
And there's still the Faces Void if you really want to run it back.
Ah, don't do it again. Please.
You've got Lesh, you've got Sky, right? There's damage in the Chrono. You've got the Ayu Faces Void lane, which can sustain through a Brood Mother.
Don't tempt them again, John. Don't do it.
Perhaps something like Jug, something like Slark could be okay as well. Although Slark into Bloodseeker is always kind of larg. Really awkward for the Slark to try to reach in up.
TSM FTX.
Naga is the call. Alright.
Why not?
So, you don't have the best clear from TSM to deal with Naga illusions. Down the line, I suppose a Bloodseeker with maybe his full Mjolnir can start to just try to clear out with a static lightning on him. But it should be smooth going here for our tour. His lane matchup against the Brood shouldn't be too rough. As long as you got your mirror image, you should be fine. Your illusions coming out, you should be pretty fine. And dispelling off that Silken Bola, getting some decent harass back on the Brood Mother with a Riptide as well. And you've got the Ayo to back you up. So this does feel maybe more in line with Shopify Rebellion's playstyle last game, where they did take a backseat much more. The Naga's going to be able to scale up a lot faster than Faces Void in that kind of game.
TSM 5 seconds left. Final pick for themselves. Dragging it all the way to the 1 second mark. They're going to go down the Pangolier route, it seems. They really thought heavily about that one. The Pango will be in the mid lane against Arbed's Leshrac. And two kind of new drafts. I mean, TSM switch up a lot. Shopify, a fair bit as well. What are you thinking? Like, have Shopify changed enough to force a draw here against TSM? Because it is still a best of 2, so it has to be a draw at best for Shopify. Or do you think TSM can 2-0 this one?
It's hard to say. I don't think it was a draft issue from Shopify Rebellion. It was really just playstyle. If they default back to the slower style and miss out on their timings, they can bank on their Naga at the very least to scale up pretty nicely in this game. Pangolier is somewhat of a solution to the Naga illusions, but not really the most straightforward one. Once you have something like your Heart up, it starts to feel pretty tough for the Pango to handle the illusion spam. I think the draft it's good. It's solid. It's just, based on what we saw, based on how Shopify Rebellion played, I really don't think it was a new draft they needed. They need a new mindset coming into this game. So if they play around their strong points, like say this Bloodstone for Abed comes out fast, and you get the Blade Mail Blink once more for Saberlight, just look for kills. You know, look for those kills, run around, threaten with a relocate plus a duel, and you will hit your timings. But if it ends up being like game 1 where they just kind of hang back with these power spikes, then I can see TSM just playing the same way and coming out on top.
See how it all pans out, Jonathan. We're going into game 2 very, very soon between TSM and Shopify Rebellion, and we'll see if we can force out a draw or whether we're going to have a TSM 2-0 victory. Let's get into it. Game number 2 is officially underway now, so we can switch over to that and see exactly how it does pan out between these two teams. Hopefully a bit more of a closer matchup I want to see, Jonathan, because game 1, it was a bit of a slow build-up into just TSM destroying them. There was just no gameplay from SR last game.
I almost feel bad.
Yeah.
So this whole mess is all your fault?
I know. They just never managed to play with those spikes. And they still have almost the same power spikes in this game. Very similar, with the exception that Naga's probably going to sit back and farm longer than Artur's Faces Void last game. We shall have to see. Should be easier for Crit to join in these fights, though. At the very least, all you need to do is just cast Ancient Seal and your team can follow through quite nicely. Nice smoke out here from TSM, getting some good blocks early on both the camps.
Great. Be spotted. We'll see TSM's end of things. I mean, blocking both camps like that always going to be quite effective against Arbed on the Leshrac, and of course the Naga Siren as well of Arteezy. More so for Arbed though, you are kind of relying on going back to really escalate off those stacks in the triangle, but be a little bit more annoying for Crit to have to get those D wards out and miss the initial pulls for those stacks to be made. The TSM don't have the greatest kind of lineup for stealing stacks as well, so Arbed theoretically should have that farm to go back to, but not for now. we'll have to wait just a little bit. We are going to have a pause out, no idea why so
这么
far.
菜的队友不会生气
It's
吧
like
哥
Kasane was having maybe a few lag issues, but he's back into the game now. We should be able to get this game back underway immediately, hopefully. There we go.
Nice little reconnect. No major issues coming out, thankfully, Mike.
Thankfully.
You know, we've gotten them all out of the way in day one. No more podcasts. People don't want it, Mike.
No, they don't want it anymore, Jonathan. It's done. Fight at the top lane, perhaps. Crit and Saberlight looking to set up. TSM are around the corner. When he has disruption, he will throw it out quickly. Not going to amount to much, though. It's actually going to be a 3-for-1 trade on bounties towards Shopify Rebellion. So TSM, they do miss out just a little bit of net worth. Wymon's still sticking around. They will get the D ward onto the Observer ward, though. Not able to get the deny off that he wanted. We do get back into the laning stage where they are still chasing each other down. Wymon and Crit still going out a little bit longer, but that'll be enough. Top lane Crit, of course, going to be up against Whitemon, and Tomato and Saberlight going to be going at it as well. I think this should be a much easier lane at least for Saberlight on the LC. I imagine the Bloodseeker Shadow Demon should not be as big of an issue. You do have that Blood Right disruption set up as we're seeing right now into Crit. So you've got that going for you, I suppose, but then again, you are up against a Skarath Mage, so the amount of harassment Crit can pump out is pretty damn insane.
Yeah, it's going to be consistent coming out here from Shopify. Would expect more presence out from Saberlight. Shouldn't be dying in this lane at the very least. Unless they overcommit. Crit just trading pretty hard with Whitemon. As he eventually
avoid
just
the
gonna
Blood
back
Rite.
off.
Whitemon tried to be a little bit cheeky with the Blood Grenade slowing him down last second, but not quite enough to connect the Blood Right in the end. Was that mid lane? Brawl and Arbit have been going at it here on the Leshrac and the Pangolier.
All in service to imbalance.
Arbit should have maybe a little bit of an easier time on the Lesh this game. Is already off to a pretty good start, but Brawl's keeping up quite nicely. I do believe Arbit maybe has a bit of an advantage this time around.
For sure. Should be able to just stand back, threaten with Lightning Storm, threaten with a Splitter. Last time around, Abed had a pretty smooth laning start as well. Should expect that to be a little bit better in this game up against Brawl on the Pango. The same things apply. Rune control going to be important. Support rotation here for Crit is going to feel big. If he does find a room to kind of leave Saberlight alone, could be a massive kill threat onto Brawl if he's not too careful.
Brawl's going to be alright now. Bottom lane, of course, Fly and Ari going at it. Arteezy and Kasane trading a bit of harassment. Kasane more so than Arteezy. Kasane not going to be too interested in getting overly aggressive, I don't think, anytime soon. Like, Fly is always going to be there to ensure that Arteezy does remain very, very healthy. Kasane is a Broodmother specialist. He understands his timings very well. I'm sure he's more than comfortable to take his time in this game. We've seen the man's Broodmother so often, and it is rather revolting to watch, let me tell you, John. There's too much impact with this hero.
Really is. He's already queuing up the double Wraith Band as well, so should expect him to have a lot more armor to sustain through these right-click harassments, and Arthur's the one who has to be a little bit cautious. Yes, he has the flash healing of Fly, but the early output of Brood can be a little bit overwhelming as a universal type once those Wraith Bands are up.
Indeed. Lotus Pool. Ari's going to try and swipe it away from Fly and Arteezy. Bit of a race, Ari does get it. Quick fingers from Ari. Problem is it may cost him his own life. Fly's the only one chasing him though. Ari, he's got the TP available if he really wants to commit it, but it seems like he wants to hold out. One of the saddest fights we're ever going to see here between these two supports. It's Fly. He's going to back off eventually, realizing this is just going to go on forever. No point.
Goes nowhere very fast, and that does force the Lotus usage out from Ari, but doesn't mind, gets to stay in lane, gives Kasane some room for the solo EXP as well. Overall, the lanes though for Shopify, outside of Arthur's lane, are shaping up fairly nicely. Saberlight again managing to manage Tomato quite nicely. You run up, you don't really care about Bloodseeker. Melee matchup for Legion Commander goes pretty smoothly. And you're also getting a lot more for Abed mid. Brawl slowing down a little bit more. Not quite equalizing in terms of the CS. We'll have some slightly earlier spikes for the Lesh to play with.
Whitemon, top lane, a lot of damage being dealt. Crit moving in. No blood grenade on Crit, so he's not going to go for the chase. Whitemon going to survive through that one. Seems like they are very afraid of Tomato and the amount of damage he can pump out himself. Again, I mean, Saberlight's having a much better time. 24 and 6 on the LC. Not anywhere near as much pressure being applied. The Legion Commander this time, and it seems like Tomato's the one falling very far behind. Currently 16 and 2 in terms of CS on the Bloodseeker. They are going to go for the Bloodright from the Disruption play now. Bit of harassment onto Saberlight. Whitemon chasing for the Shadow Poison stacks. Not really going to find any though. Just a couple.
Not too much lost, not too much found just yet. Rather slow start for both sides, just focusing on maximizing their lanes. No first blood coming out yet in the 5-minute mark, but we have seen a lot of games slow down nowadays. It's not as much aggression. We managed to isolate it here, but TP away, very nice and easy. We'll leave Saberlight solo, but shouldn't be a problem.
5 minutes in, no first blood being drawn yet from either side. They've been trying, especially at the top lane, but it just has not happened yet. Teams are on equal footing so far in this game too. Bryle getting really aggressive mid lane. Abed's going to try and punish him now. Does have the Pulse Nova hitting level 6. Will just dive Bryle. And there you go. Bryle going down. Abed able to secure first blood. Bryle, it was a very aggressive jump in with the shield crash and the swashbuckle. He had no escape route after that.
Just not durable enough as well to deal with all of the output on Abed. And slowly harassed out in that lane. Still has the 2 charges on his raindrops, but not enough to save. And with that early pick-off into the rotation for the mid-tower runes, be a nice take to find. Crit does steal away the shield rune. At least that forces the usage out onto the sky, so Abed's not going to be as comfy here, but he's got his supports hanging around. We've got the IO Lesh already activated very early on, just opting to leave RTZ alone to farm up, which you can do in the Naga. With the mirror imager out, you shouldn't have any problem just playing a more passive farming lane here.
Absolutely not. Rotations down bottom, Abed and Fly going to try and set something up here with RTZ. He does have that level 1 snare up, so it's a very easy setup for the Split Earth if you do land it. Now it looks like they're just going to clear out some stacks instead of actually trying to move in for the bottom lane kills. Those stacks were never made in the were they made in the triangle and they were just taken?
Radiant's middle tower.
There's no stacks there at the moment. This is Whitemon.
I think the ward just expired.
Right, there you go. Whitemon gonna try for the steal. Does actually get it. Abed not landing the Split Earth. Whitemon gonna try for the TP. He is fine. He is just gonna be fine to TP. That's 2 Wisdom Runes the way of TSM. That's massive.
Yeah, it's a big win for them. We saw Shopify Rebellion do that in the last game. This time TSM gets a little bit of revenge controlling up those Wisdom Runes. Not really able to do much while these cores are left solo as well. Tomato at level 5 is sustaining just nicely. Level 3 Thirst, so it can just last hit back to HP. Kill threat not quite coming out yet. Duel's not too far off though for Saberlight. You can try to tie into that, but again, with Whitemon and the disruption save, not the easiest thing in the world to do here.
Absolutely not. Top lane. That's going to try. Tomato being slowed up. Jewel is out. He is just going to get destroyed.
Oh.
Whitemon could not get in range for the disruption as Whitemon still being chased down. Rolling Thunder from Brawl. They're going to try and at least trade something for the life of Tomato, but they're not finding anything quite yet. Saberlight just juking Whitemon. He's going to run towards the Twin Gates. There's 4 stacks of Shadow Poison placed so far onto Saberlight, but they can't actually get within range of him. He's going to get away with this for free. That's massive.
Nice little snipe here from Shopify. Whitemon just too far back, cut off by the movement and positioning of Crit. Standing very far forward, ensuring it wasn't comfy for Whitemon to walk in. And just preventing that save from coming through. Nice. Again, nice start for Shopify Rebellion. Their lanes are going well. Kills are starting to flow, and you're seeing aggression from Abed and Fly, already looking for a smoke play.
Lane. Tomato, he's going to try for the rupture, but it's not going to mean enough when Abed's right around the corner. Tomato, he's trying to man-fight this one, but it's not it. He was hoping for the Thirst regen. Crit, not even dying top lane yet. Finally goes down to Whitemon, but it's going to cost Whitemon's life. And Bryle, he committed Swash to try and kill off somebody. It was Saberlight who still got out anyway. So Bryle will swash to the high ground, but here comes the relocate from Fly. A bit of a wasted relocate, but it doesn't matter. That was, I mean, they got a whole, like, centimeter further. It was great.
Hey, it's impactful. You know, it allows them to take that duel win. It was preemptive. And they knew. They make it work. And Shopify Rebellion, maybe, last time we were complaining about them being a bit too passive. This time getting very trigger happy with their spells. But that's 2 duel wins now for Saberlight. So, again, you're getting off on the right foot here. You're slowing down Tomato by a huge amount. Not comfy on the Bloodseeker at all. And you're pressuring mid very early on. Which you can with the Edict up.
Red. They get caught though. Ryle gonna get the shield crash. Ari is there. Whitemon will follow. Problem is they can't really deal with the Leshrac. Abed and Fly trying to zone them out. Crit though almost still going down. Ari trying to get within range for that level 3 Fade Bolt is not there. Couldn't quite make it.
It's not close enough. You have to appreciate the warding here from Shopify Rebellion. Now they're the ones with the really good forward wards that side of TSM aren't really able to find. They were already warded up the top jungle as well. Keep an eye out on the movement here of Tomato to open up those rotations. The one thing you are getting for TSM is a lot of early space for Kasane. Double Wraith Band up, Soul Ring up. As the Spiderlings running about, he has a pretty free lane to farm in. So does Arteezy, to be fair. The early investment already starting to pay off. For the Naga, Yasha up. All the space in the world for Artur this game. Not as much pressure coming out from TSM this time around. And for Kasane, he has to start to make moves. And this is the point where the Broodmother can start to dish out a lot of that damage. Would want to see some objectives being taken, if not some activity down bot. Drag his team down here to hunt Artur, perhaps, once that full Echo Saber is up.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
TSM backs against the wall right now, like 5-1, 4k advantage, not feeling too good about themselves. Love themselves an opening if they could get one, but Shopify are playing much cleaner this game, number 2.
Radiant are scanning.
And Kasane, he's going for the Echo Saber build-up, but he's just not having the impact so far that we would expect from this Brood. TSM, they're going to smoke up with Bryle and Ari now. Like, Bryle kind of gets distracted, though, by the Ancient stacks, so decides he'll take those instead. Through the fight. Take the farm. Smoke out from Shopify, though. Into the mid lane. Ari still smoked himself. May reveal his position with that Fade Bolt. They don't have a blink on Sableye, though, so it's kind of hard to close the gap.
Radiant's bottom tower is
Oh, the Arcane Rune. The big bait against Bryle. Bryle gonna try and get out of this, but the Ancient still does land, but no, the lift up. Ari with the telekinesis. Gonna ensure the Jewel never comes out of Sableye. Sablelight's still pinging. He wants to go. They're gonna try and move in onto Ari. The Rubik does get caught, and he is gone. But Bryle with the Rolling Thunder gonna try and at least trade, but Arbid now joining the fray, but no, wait a minute, he's out of position. Arbid gonna pop the Bloodstone, never mind, he's in position, he's in the prime position in fact, because he can just rush Bryle. Bryle will be fine with the swash to barely get away. Arbid somehow still alive as Fly will keep him healed up. Somehow, only Ari dies throughout all of this fight.
I like the change of gears here for Shopify, though. And they're the ones taking initiative now. They're the ones rushing forward. They're starting to find some openings out with this early Bloodstone from Abed. Whitemon's just not in position for the saves. They find Kasane now with Arteezy, solo.
That was literally just Arteezy. Oh, now Whitemon's gone. Fly will find him. That was with the help of Arbid, to be fair, but Kasane dying to Arteezy alone is not something I was quite expecting. But it does happen. Jewel out. Just kills happening all across the map now. The Blade Mail, Jewel not going to be enough against Tomato yet. It's Saberlight kind of just sending a message as he does safely back out. Forcing Brawl to rotate up top to try and help. These TSM, they can't catch a break this game too.
No breathing room at all. Shopify Rebellion playing forward, getting all the space out. Arteezy now with a full Manta, starting to feel really comfy on that Naga Siren. And it's TSM that are the ones that are kind of sitting back a little bit more than you expect. Whitemon's positioning hasn't been ideal either. Like, he's not been able to get too many saves with a disruption, which has been giving a lot of impact to Saberlight. Like, that's the one thing your Shadow Demon needs to do, save from that duel. But 3 for 3 now, he hasn't been able to get that done at all.
Very dominant so far. 6k advantage now standing for Shopify.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
He's full control over this game. Tomato has a lot of farming to do to get to a point where he's going to feel like a threat on this Bloodseeker, that's for sure. TSM still trying to play off the back of Brawl. Like, he's got the Diffusal Blade, but not finding the impact as top lane. Tomato is just melting to the Mystic Flare damage of crit. Saberlight not even needing to pop Jewel that time. Tomato, I mean, I was just saying he needs a lot of farm, John. That death is not going to help.
Certainly not. Tomato bottom network right now for the entire team in terms of cores. Shopify Rebellion just doing a great job of managing that Bloodseeker threat. They managed to pincer him in. Like, he had to run towards the Mystic Flare. If he ran towards Saberlight, it would be into the duel. Still Ari? He gets the lift, but not towards him. Don't really manage to line up anything with the Rupture ready here on Tomato. And
Ari get caught. Saberlight, easiest duel victory of his life. Whitemon was not around to save with the disruption. Blink is now available on the Legion Commander. So you've got that Blink Jewel into the Mystic Flarers. Oh, hold on a minute. Song has been committed. RTZ barely missing out on Whitemon, but they could still potentially fight Kasane unless Kasane just runs out of range of the Song. And that he certainly does. Whitemon was within range, but he got through the Twin Gates in time.
great read out from TSM. Dodging out to relocate, wasting the Song, buying more time for themselves, and it's 10-1, 8k lead. Shopify Rebellion is still in control. Missing out on a kill like that doesn't matter too much if TSM can't really capitalize on it, and they simply can't. You know, Bryle's still a ways off from the full. Ags coming out on the Pango. Their jungle's constantly invaded by Abed.
Bryle. He's okay. He'll swashbuckle out. TSM, they are rotating around this area, trying to protect this vision, but it is gone. Saberlight, he's got the Blink Jewel. Ari, getting within the fog, eventually gets caught, but Whitemon will save with the disruption. This could be the opening they've been looking for, because Saberlight's out of position, but no, the hills come in, Fly. Gonna give him a full reset on the LC. They've brought all 5 heroes here from TSM. Abed, he's still trying to man up, putting his hand up in the middle of this team fight. Just waving them goodbye. He knew they could not continue the fight. I mean, the Leshrac still had the Bloodstone active to pop. So he probably just wasn't going to die through that. TSM, they throw everything but the kitchen sink, but get 0.
I'm not finding anything. Like, the movement out from Shopify Rebellion, again, having this forward ward to spot out this Blink duel opportunity was pretty big. No D-wards coming out from TSM to take care of this positioning. Because you take care of this information, Shopify Rebellion is able to get out here.
Bryle, relocate. Mystic Flare from Crit with the silence. Bryle going to be saved by the disruption of Whitemon, but now Whitemon gets caught to boot, so it's going to be a 2-for-1 special. Unfortunate. Shopify, they are just choking TSM off the map. No space whatsoever for this dire side this game. And it seems like they're almost ready to start chipping at the Tier 2 mid tower.
Yeah. They're in position. They've got maybe not the healthiest mana pool on Abed, but they can easily top that up, no problem here. Especially with the Bloodstone active still ready to go. I will say, the side of Shopify Rebellion has managed to course correct from that game 1. And it didn't feel like a draft issue, it was playstyle. And this is the playstyle I was looking for from that game 1. They're choking out TSM, they're taking advantage of this early pressure.
Look at this. They have got Tomato. No hesitation from Saberlight. He knows he's got the backup of Crit. That's without the Mystic Flare, John. Just destroying it.
Just gets ripped apart. The output's there. The Blade Mail up against Bloodseeker, it's massive. Bloodseeker just never feels safe hitting someone with that. At least not until you get maybe your barrier up, it starts to feel better, but I doubt this is going to be an Ags rush game at all. Inside of Shopify, again, no openings for TSM, 13-1. It's, quite frankly, it's like they're playing against bots here, Mike. They're just running down.
I mean, it is 13-1. I can't say you're wrong when you're with your statement, there, John.
Just decides the song on the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, he's farming, he's singing. You know, he's having a good time. Well, what else does he need the song for, John? You think RTC needs it right now?
Probably doesn't. Just wants to find more kills.
We're sponsored by Spotify, Jonathan. We can't play Spotify during the games, though. We established that in the Bali Major, all right? He's playing his own music.
Yeah, and Shopify Rebellion, the usual mix-up with a lot of people. This is the one tournament as well that we haven't quite mixed up at All-Out yet. Right when we have Spotify as a sponsor. So very, very unfortunate. Or fortunate. I'm not sure which one it is, Mike.
Well, it's unfortunate for Shopify Rebellion, who always get memed about with this Spotify situation, but we love you, Shopify. Don't you worry. We'll pronounce your name correctly every time. There is a distinction. There is a difference for anyone out there.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Anyway, 13-1. 12k advantage, John. I mean, this is a very one-sided affair. I'm not sure what kind of analysis I can ask you for, apart from what can TSM do to try and force this back their way.
Well, a couple of things. Whitemon has to be ready for the dual saves every single time, and he's managed to get one this time, but the earlier losses were pretty massive, quite frankly, in establishing the start for Saberlight. They need to, I don't know, like, for one thing, Kasane is just AFK farming, and it doesn't feel great when you've got a Bloodseeker and a Broodmother who are both just AFK farming. Like, Kasane's constantly shoving down bots, sure. It is some space, but it's not space that Shopify Rebellion really care to fix or course correct. They're just invading the top jungle anyway and just kind of running down Tomato. So for TSM, I don't know, like 20 minutes in, maybe you wait until this is going to sound real dumb, but wait for the 30-minute mark before you really fully commit. 10 minutes more farming, 5 to 10 minutes more farming. That's going to be BKB for Kasane online, a full Mjolnir, and hopefully BKB for Tomato as well. And that should also be the Ags for Brawl in the early end of that 5-minute mark. So, should have some play once that's up. Before that point, just cut your losses. Allow Shopify Rebellion to just run around. You will, mind you, have a lot of issues with Arteezy, who has barely shown up for these fights. Heart on the way next. Not too far off from the recipe here, Mike. And I don't know if you'll have enough to deal with those illusions.
Oh, Whitemon. Poor old Whitemon. Left side of the map. He's gone. Oh, Saberlight, you're at that stage as the LC. You can just duel anyone by yourself at this point and just kill him. He doesn't need the help. Kasane, he needs some help right now in the Brood. John, he's not looking too good. Arteezy will get him with the ensnare, though he does at least make it to the high ground. King of the hill for Kasane. But nobody knows the high ground better than Arteezy. Arteezy will take care of it.
Yep. Just get the job done. Let me tell you, Broodmother in the cliff is just terrifyingly big. It scares me. Scares me every time she's on that cliff.
One day you're going to come to Australia, John, and I'll show you some real spiders. I'll tell you.
Oh, I hope not, Mike. Certainly hope
Roshan?
not to.
He's a big boy too.
Yeah, but he's not
going to
cliff,
take...
Mike.
That's true, John. It's a slow process. The thing is, TSM, it's not like they can even think about fighting this Roshan. Like countering this Roshan play. Shopify know it's the freest Roshan of their lives. They've even got a Heart of Tarask up now on Arteezy 22.5 minutes in. That is some very fast timings on the Naga. If there's one thing Arteezy's been known for in his career, John, it's been, the farming. He does enjoy hitting some creeps, that's for sure, and he's doing a great job of it this game.
Yeah, good old farmer Artur online. The yield from his crops has been very bountiful. He's feeling great with his returns right now. I don't know how you manage this Naga. I mean, you've got the Ags up in Braille. This could help with the cause. Somewhat. Doesn't feel like it's enough. Like, where's the impact from Kasane? They find Whitemon again. 16-1. Are we going to reach the point where this multiplies by 2 and we get 32-2 or something?
Jeez, I mean, it could. Kasane. Jump in again. Another duel out, and look at this. Tomato. He's just gone. Absolutely disappearing. To the damage of Saberlight as Kasane's chasing down Crit. Can't get the kill. He will just melt. Down goes Zari. There's one letter on your keyboard, John, that can save you from this game for TSM. One letter. You might need to press it twice.
All they need to do. 19-1, 18k up for Shopify Rebellion. Yeah, they've kicked off with this activity. They've managed to start playing around those relocate in the Bloodstone plays. They've managed to have confidence with Saberlight coming in with the Blink duel. And this was lacking in Game 1, but they suddenly remember, hey, our heroes can do this in Game 2. And, well, that makes all the difference in the world. 20k, I don't know what to say, Mike. 19-1, how do you analyze this? It's a...
You tell me, John.
It's a stop.
It is a stop.
Well, what's the play here for good old TSM? Well, we were approaching that 5-minute mark, 5 to 10 minute mark earlier that I called, and you did have, you do have the BKB and Kasane and the Ags on Bryle, but still not enough.
I mean, speaking of the devil, Bryle up this top lane won't get caught. Thought about going through the top lane to that creep wave, but won't do it. Still, SR are going to have a look anyway. The D wards. Bryle's still hanging around. Eventually does TP out, realizing it was not safe around this area. They'll get some deeper wards on top of that, whatever you call that that house thing. Hopefully the daughter Ags Lab, I would hope, during this this next TI season.
The Mighty Mines, Mike.
Is it really? Is that what they call it? The Mighty Mines?
Yeah, if you actually mouse over the passives there, you would find out. Yes, it is the Mighty Mines. I don't know why the mines are mighty. I don't think mines can be mighty.
Well, the
They're
buff is
inanimate
called
objects.
Mighty Mines.
Yeah, but why would you call the mines mighty? Mighty mines. Mighty describes the mines. Why are they mighty mines?
I could argue this, John, but I don't have time for it. Top lane, D3 tower, jump in, Saberlight. He's gonna waste his BKB. That's a bit of a win for TSM. Shopify Rebellion, they might think better of trying to push high ground. Maybe. Probably not, though, considering the lead to be absolutely first. Kasane's really copying it. They're trying to save him with the stolen press the attack. Disruption out as well. Arbit's just going to stay on the low ground and just wait for him to come back in. In fact, hold on a minute. They're looking to fight back. They're on to fly. They've got the IO down. That's a great start. TSM, they'll keep trying, but Arteezy's going to man up and turn back around onto Bryle. In goes the duel out again from Saberlight, but he's been disarmed up. The Mystic Flare, it's not going to do enough for Bryle. Eventually, finally going to go down. 1 for 1. Definitely in the favor of Shopify Rebellion. But TSM, they are holding high ground. Twymon jumps in again. But this is kind of on his own.
Going a little bit cheeky. A decent punishment coming out from TSM. Doubling their kills in that time span, Mike, from 1 to 2. Now we've got an option here, depending on how spicy it gets. Will we get a 22 to 3 or a 32 to 2? That's the analysis we're looking for, Mike.
2 dreams are alive. Even the 20 to 4 dream is alive.
D'Amato?
Oh, he's doing it. He's doing it for the boys. D'Amato. Unfortunate. Nothing the poor guy can do. I mean, that's one of the safest farming spots on the map for him right now, and he can't farm.
Yeah, the ward on the Mighty Mine itself kind of makes it hard to dip out and farm. What a sneaky ward, that one. And let's get punished. Now we just need 11 kills. Whether or not that happens with Shopify not dropping kill, who knows? There is still potential for Fly to randomly die in the backline as a squishy IO, for sure.
Good fine.
Sacrifice for the boys. No. He wants the 22 to 3.
Right. It could happen. TSM. Still 21k behind. What's Dota Plus saying? 98% the way of Shopify Rebellion. So there's a 2% chance for TSM according to Gaben. Saberlight. Looking for Ari. Not going to find him. Not yet anyway. Ari does have the benefit of having that Observer Ward giving vision over Saberlight right now, so pretty easy to avoid the LC. Instead though, King's coming out towards the Wisdom Rune space. We'll just go for that instead. Saberlight picks it up, so level 18 now up on the LC. Meanwhile, Arteezy's got a... just how much more farm is Arteezy going to get this game? We'll find out very soon, as there's going to be a 5-man smoke up. He's currently about, what, 11k ahead of the Bloodseeker?
Yep. Pretty much. Around 10. Closer to 10, but...
Yeah.
It's not comfy for Tomato. He is going for a Sanj and Yasha, BKB, and Ags. And that's a lot of gold he has to farm up for, Mikey. At the least, he could get the Yasha soon. Maybe the Sanj right after if he doesn't die. But they're pressured onto high ground. Their mid and bot lane are being shoved in. And they're all gone off the map. They're not defending, so Shopify Rebellion knows something's up.
Here comes Shopify through the bot lane. There goes
Two towers gone.
2 towers at the same time. Just go into illusions. I heckin' love Naga gameplay. Look at this. Those poor range Raxes just can't catch a break.
Dire's structures.
Artis is actually doing 2 illusions on each Rax.
Dire's bottom
He's
tower
a, you know,
is under
he's an equal kind of man. Everyone gets the same treatment. What's even more annoying is he's got the Dragon Scale, so he's actually dealing damage to these racks with these illusions. Like the Dragon Scale, DPS is actually doing most of the work.
is under attack.
That it is. We'll clear out now, but that forces all of TSM to come back after their soiree up top. See if
Well,
they
it's
find
22
something
DPS
defense.
as well.
Radiant's
It is
top
quite a
tower
fair
is
bit,
under
Mike.
attack.
Good burn.
He's just gonna keep doing it. This is disgusting to watch, but this is
Attack.
peak Naga gameplay. Look at this. Backdoor's gonna kick in at least this time to protect the tier 3 tower. But he actually just doesn't need to do anything else.
You know what this reminds me of? Like, peak gameplay of Luna Shadow Demon.
Oh.
This is
That reminds me
exactly
of
what Luna Shadow Demon is. Oh.
Saberlight, duel out. Saberlight trying to duel to save us from this kind of game. It's the Broodmother. Kasane, he's not dead yet. He's going to try and fight with the insatiable hunger, but Abed right on top means it's going to be rather hard to survive. And here comes the song. Arteezy. He's found Tomato with that, but they're ignoring the Bloodseeker for now, trying to go for the others, but never mind that. There's Tomato. Song was stolen by Ari. He does put the rest to sleep,
Yeah, nah.
but Tomato's still going to die. GG's called. He's had enough. He's seen enough.
Yeah, it's a fair call. That was a rough one for the side of TSM. The Shopify Rebellion actually played to the strength of their draft, and you can see what happens once you've got that Blink and Blade Mail on an LC, tying in with the Bloodstone timing for Abed. Just run down. This was completely missing from game 1 somehow, but Shopify Rebellion, you know, they gather back. Bulba gives them to speech. Bulba whips them into shape, and they remember to play the draft, and it actually comes online. And TSM could do literally nothing. There was just no play here. Like the lanes
What do you
were
think?
so at the very best.
What do you think the speech from Bulba was, John, in game 2? Do you think he looked at Arbit and said, listen, if you don't play this Lesh well, I'm picking Storm next game. I promise you that. You're getting Storm all tournament if you don't win this game with Lesh.
Yep, that was probably the speech. Although, knowing Abed, sometimes I wonder if he listens. I feel like he's just there sometimes. He just does what he has to. You know, so I don't know if that speech would have motivated Abed. It just felt like, you know, it's one of those things. It's their first series, maybe needing a little bit of a wake up. You're certainly very asleep in game 1, and they wake up in game 2. If this was a best of 3, who knows what would happen in game 3, Mike? But best of 2, 1-1, NA can say that it hasn't lost yet.
Well, we saw these 1v1 situations a lot during NADPC. Mind you, those were best of 3s to be absolutely fair, but we had a lot of these situations in 2 or 3, let me tell you. You saw, I mean, Shopify Rebellion, just complete domination for game 2. See, in case you weren't watching game 1, TSM completely dominated them for game 1. So, 2 very convincing victories from 2 separate teams to end up in a 1-1 draw. You know, props to the boys at least, you know, not taking any points from each other. Just, you know, a 1-1 is enough for them. The NA boys taking care of each other here at the Riyadh Masters 2023. And that does mean they move on to their next series. So, you know, they don't mind. A draw's a draw, Jonathan. It's better than a loss.
That it is, and at the very least, the draw could potentially drag their rankings up over any other team that got 2 votes, so both sides are feeling all right. You know, I can't say happy. You're feeling like pretty meh, but you got a draw. And for Shopify, as they were the ones to drop game 1, it's a good recovery for them in game 2. Let's hope that they stay awake for the rest of their games, you know, because the drafting, again, was pretty on point. Just need to play to its strengths, and, well, games like game 2 can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I believe we are actually going back to Group A now for the next series here on the C stream. So, what is it? It's going to be Quest vs 9 Pandas, I believe, on this stream. If I'm not incorrect in saying so, that is, I believe. This is off my memory, which you know is terrible, Jonathan. But I'm trying to give the viewers an update before you and I head off.
That is true. It should be. No, is it? Yeah, it's Quest versus 9 Pandas, and then Shopify versus Betmoon. Should be plenty of fun.
Very nice.
Quest
game.
versus 9 Pandas
Very nice
should be
games.
really fun. Like that is one that I'd love to watch.
Well, I believe we are going to have an extended break, so it is going to be a longer break, probably 45-50 minutes. But right after that break, we're going to be back with our next series for the Riyadh Masters 2023 on the C stream. So we'll see you all again very, very soon.